What if in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the aforementioned tears are something we've been using this entire time? Let's get into it. So, a lot of people have drawn the conclusion that the new green energy that you can see in the trailers is somehow linked with the Zonai tribe mentioned in Breath of the Wild that mysteriously vanished. The logo also features this green energy with the same dragon seen in the Zonai ruins in Breath of the Wild 2, so that also put those links together. So does that mean that the tears in the title are perhaps linked to the green energy now on Link's arm and belt? I think it's likely. But that said, we've actually been seeing tears used throughout the entire Zelda series, and heavily in Breath of the Wild through the Shiekah symbol, the Shiekah ruins, and Shiekah slate. In fact, this blue energy that we've seen constantly throughout Breath of the Wild powers all the devices throughout Hyrule and can contain data. But what if the Shiekah didn't originally invent this technology? Instead, it could have been stolen from someone. Stolen from a tribe that mysteriously then disappeared? Maybe? Perhaps? So we know that Ganondorf is returning, potentially being the same form as from Twilight Princess. So it wouldn't be a stretch to assume that other elements might be coming back from Twilight Princess too. In fact, the Twilight have already been theorized to have links to the Zonai, perhaps even being the same tribe or people. And in terms of the evidence, the aesthetics do match quite closely. There's an amazing video by Zelda Lore on YouTube that goes into some more detail about the potential link between the two. It also proposes that the Twilight were once a faction of Shiekah that then split from each other, and they became those precursor interlopers that are mentioned in Twilight Princess before being banished to the Twilight Realm. Maybe the Twilight then returned to Hyrule sometime after Twilight Princess. Maybe Hyrule and Link and Zelda needed the Twilight's help to seal Ganondorf, who had risen once again. Then what? Well, the Twilight would have to settle and attempt to incorporate themselves back into a world which wouldn't be of Twilight, and their name would probably also have to change, now possibly known as the Zonai. Of course, they wouldn't have returned alone. They would have brought technology with them, the same technology you see in Twilight Princess that powers their world. They're extremely advanced considering everything else that we saw in Twilight Princess. And that kind of technology being brought with them would also stoke superstition and fear from Hyrule. The Shiekah could have seen it as a threat and decided to go to war and put that power into their own hands, what they would deem the right hands. TLDR, even if the Zonai aren't the Twilight, I think Tears of the Kingdom will not only deal with the returning threat of Ganondorf, but also uncover that the Shiekah massacred the Zonai and stole their technology. Which would also explain why there isn't much historical record on the Zonai in Breath of the Wild. Much like real life, winners write the history books.